Welcome back to the Rise with Anita podcast, and welcome if you're new here. Today's conversation is for anyone who knows what they want to do, but has struggled to put into words into a way that truly lands. Today I'm joined by Rachael Weaver, who works at the intersection of human design, energetics, visual branding, and copywriting, helping people translate what lives in their head and heart into messaging that actually reaches the right people. What I appreciate about Rachael's work is that she doesn't just separate soul from strategy, she bridges how they move together. Human design becomes the bridge between intuition and structure, so your message doesn't just feel true, it becomes clear, grounded, and effective in the way of the real world. Whether human design is completely new to you or something you've been curious about but never knew how to apply, this episode will help you understand why some messaging feels heavy or draining, and communicating in a way that's natural to you can actually change everything. So thank you for joining me. I'm super excited to have you on the show.
Thank you, Anita. I'm so excited to be here.
And before we begin, I'm going to invite you to just go ahead and take a breath with me.
Yeah, let's do it.
So inhale slowly through your nose. Hold for 4. And exhale through your mouth for 6. Allow your shoulders to soften. Let your body settle. There's nowhere else you need to be in this moment, and nothing you need to do but be present. So I'm super excited. But before we dive in, I always start off the podcast with a introspective question, which is, what is bringing you joy in 2026 so far?
Oh, I love that question. What's bringing me joy? I've started listening to a new playlist, and it's so good. It puts me right in an energy of gratitude and joy, and like, this is like a whole new day. I have a whole new day to do whatever and wherever the world takes me. And I find that it's helped shift a lot of the, like, okay, what's on my to-do list? What do I need to do today? Making sure the kids get what they need and they're doing their responsibilities, and the house, and what are we having for dinner, and all of that tends to be really heavy. And this playlist, anytime I start to feel a little bit like, okay, there's so many things to do, I put the playlist on and I start dancing, and it just feels like it's so much lighter and easier, and life is joyful, and we get to decide that in each and every moment.
Beautiful. I love your answer, because for me, a good playlist changes everything.
It really does.
So for anyone who's listening, who's never actually heard of human design before, how do you explain it in a way that doesn't feel intimidating?
Ooh, that's a good question too. It's like astrology, but I think even more accurate in how you operate and how you view the world. Some of the patterns that you do, the idiosyncrasies, those weird things about yourself that you think are not good, are actually part of your human design, right? And it's the parts that you think don't belong actually are very much you and unique to you. And human design it's based off of your birth date and time, so it's not a personality test. It's not something that you can fake or, depending on your mood. Yeah, change, or depending on your mood. It's actually you in your core. So that's kind of how I describe it. And I think it makes a lot of the things that didn't make sense before make sense.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
And why do you think people either feel drawn to it or resistant to it?
Ooh, I think people are drawn to it because it does confirm a lot. Like, for me, I'm a mini gen, and the fact
Same.
that the fact that I cannot, for the life of me, choose something to stick with it, right? And I've had so many different careers. The thought of having one job my entire life sounds like death to me, and there's no way I could do it. And explained it. It was like, no, you're not meant to do that your whole life. That's not how you operate. And I think the people that resist it or don't like it are actually, because it hits a nerve, right? Like they know that it's them, but they're out of alignment so far that it feels like, gosh, I can't even imagine living that way. And so it feels a little bit triggering, right? Like projectors, I often hear will cry when they find out that they're a projector. They're like, I don't want to be a projector. Like, no, you're amazing. You are, like, you're designed the way that you are meant to live in this world. You're probably just living like a mani-gen or a manifester and totally out of alignment. And once you get into alignment and honor how your energy works, like, your life will be so much easier, more like just joyful. And yeah, so
I love this. And also same with the mani-gen. I've been in business for a few years now, but as I've been refining my offers, a lot of people will be like, just stick to one offer and just test it out. And I'm like, no, I must do 4 things at one time.
yeah.
And a lot of people will look at me and go, that makes no sense. You're trying too much at once. And I'm like, you just gotta let me do my little mani-gen, see how this works, experiment.
Yep. Exactly.
I will be bored.
100%. Like, I try to launch something again, and it's usually not as exciting for me. It's kind of like, I've been here, done that, moving on.
Right. So I'm curious, how would you say human design actually shows up specifically in the way someone communicates or markets themselves?
So when I'm looking at a chart, I'm looking at 4 distinct areas. I'm looking at their throat center, because that's where all the energy is going, and it's trying to come out of the throat to make manifest, as Ra had said. That, I mean, your words are your wand, all of that, right? So how is the energy moving through your chart to come out of your throat? Whether you're defined or undefined, it's going to change how you want to show up. I'm also looking at your type and how your aura works. So one of the 5 types, they all work a little differently. Like the mani-gen, right? Like, I would never tell a mani-gen, you need to launch over and over and over in order for this to finally work. Like, just keep iterating. You'll get there eventually. No, you won't. Maybe, but it's going to feel really hard, right? Versus a manifester, we're going to look at how are they talking about the vision? Are they talking about the thing that only they can really see, and are they leading people to that, right? It's a vision in their messaging. Where projectors are different again. So we're looking at their aura type, and then we're looking at their Mercury gate, and how the Mercury gate is interesting. It's not necessarily the words that you're saying, but it's the energy behind the words. So how, like, mine is gate 12. It's actually the channel of trusting the words. So being consistent isn't necessarily the thing that I want. Like, I don't have to necessarily show up every single week. It's more consistent in the energy and feeling like I'm aligned to whatever I'm talking about. It could be, and this is the interesting thing, is it could be a subject that I'm really, really passionate about. It also could be something that I'm just exploring, but it has to feel alive. It has to feel like, yes, this is what I want to talk about. It can't be forced, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And then we're looking at the sun gate, because that is like your energy, right? It's the big energy in your chart. It's going to shift how you look at the world. And I think it needs to kind of be woven into all of your offers, all of the things. I have gate 39, which is very provoking. It's essentially giving you insight into something that you wouldn't necessarily see yourself. And it can feel a little bit constricted, like, ooh, gosh, that rubs a little bit like, ooh, that's raw. But that's the point. The point is to draw out the piece that you're not looking at that can actually change everything.
I love this so much. Yeah. So for those who are just like finding out about Rachael right now, as we're doing this conversation, she has this amazing AI tool she calls Olivia, which for me is like my little bestie. And so when I'm like struggling with the words of how to say something, I will put my thoughts into it and be like, okay, and here's my actual chart. Based on it, where's the gap? And I'm just like, holy shit. Like, because I think what you're taught traditional marketing
Yeah.
It's very in your head. And I have a defined throat center as well.
Yeah.
So it's like I need to be very like direct and like honest about my opinion. I cannot kind of like willy-willy around it or dance around it. It needs to be actual truth and what's true for me in that moment. Yeah. So for me, I was just like, no wonder I was having a hard time articulating this entire time.
Exactly. Like it's so true. The traditional marketing advice comes from your head, right? Like, okay, I got to hit these pain points, and what's the transformation, and who's my IC, and what do they like to drink, and all of those more surface level thinking things, versus being able to show up and just articulate what it is that you do in a clear and concise way that is you, that's natural to you, right? Yeah, I love Olivia, and I'm actually creating an AI tool that is going to like blow Olivia out of the water. She was like my little testing ground of like, ooh, let's play with this. The new one is going to be like, you can take anything in your messaging, any question, like write this, tweak this, and all with my human design, not just promise statements, not just the little pieces, but the whole picture. I'm really excited about it.
And you heard it here first. I love this.
Yeah.
So I'm curious, what happens when people ignore their natural design?
Ooh. Oh, I do think that you can have some success ignoring your design. You're going to hustle for it. It's going to feel like you're working really, really hard. Like you can follow all the templates. You can, get someone's 7-figure template or whatever and plug in your work, but it's not going to feel like it's truly explaining the depth of your work. It's going to feel like you're performing something. It's going to feel like you're kind of putting on a mask saying, this is who I am, when it's not truly you. And at some point, your body, your soul is going to be like, yeah, no, this isn't working anymore. And we need to readjust here. So things can slow down. What worked suddenly doesn't work. Or you just feel like this isn't the business that I wanted. This isn't what I wanted to create. And something has to change, right? So you have to get, all right, there's usually something that you're not sharing in your message that you want to be sharing. And you're not giving yourself the space to, right? You're either afraid that you're going to make someone upset, it's not going to sell, or you're going to upset your audience and lose a bunch of people, or things like that, when that's actually the direction that you need to be going, and that will lead to your like highest potential.
Wow. Okay. That's incredible.
Yeah.
So I'm curious if you would be able to give a simple high-level look at how different human design types tend to communicate, and what feels most natural for them.
Yeah. Okay. So this, I look at the human design types and kind of put you into little camps of your unique selling point, right? The thing that's going to be unique to you and how you structure the core of your message. Mm-hmm. So manifestors, I mentioned a little bit already, they're about vision. What is the vision that you see for your niche, your genre that you're in, right? What is something somebody is missing, right? Like they can't look outside the box of normal, and you're like, no, let's blow the box up, and this is the vision that we're going to, right? And I explained that their offers are kind of like train stations on the way to that vision. So the manifestor doesn't necessarily need to have the full vision right away, but they're taking people closer to that vision. I had a coach a few years ago. She was a manifestor, and she was the part-time CEO. And this was long before like the laptop lifestyle. This was like back in, I guess it was kind of about that era, like 2017, 2018, where working part-time and getting a full-time income wasn't necessarily the thing people were talking about. And she had offers that would get you closer, the different things that you needed to have in place in order to earn a part-time or earn a full-time income from part-time hours. Then looking at generators they come here to master something, right? So they're reiterating and reiterating until they've mastered something. These are the people that I see are like really good at Facebook ads or really good at launching. They like do the thing over and over and over, and they get really, really good at it, right? These are the people you want to hire if you need a like Facebook ads or a bookkeeper, right? Those are usually generators generally. And they get really good because they've mastered something. So if you're a generator, what have you mastered? Really, even trademarking that process that you walk people through, and it's usually step by step by step. Step 1, step 2, step 3, right? Many gens kind of combine the manifestor and the generator, but do our own thing a lot of times too. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about.
I do.
Generally speaking, we're blending things together, right? Like I'm taking human design and messaging and putting it together. We're taking different things that seemingly don't necessarily go together or no one else has really thought to put together, and we put them together and create a process and a vision of why this is the way to do it, right? So it's kind of a combination, but generally it's blending things together that allow you to skip steps, essentially. Yeah. Projectors, the guides, right? The wisdom that they have to share. They have a system. Most projectors have done, achieved, healed something in their own life. And they're like, now I want to like shout this from the rooftops and help other people. So they've created a system in their own healing and achieving or doing, right? So and a system is slightly different than a process. A system I like to explain as you have the tabletop is the transformation, and then you have 3 legs underneath, and those are the pillars to get you to the transformation. If you take one of those legs away, the tabletop is wonky, right? But it's not a linear process. Generators are more of a linear process. Projectors are kind of bouncing around from pillar to pillar. Like it doesn't have that linear process. To be magnetic, what's her name? Not Phoebe. I'm forgetting her name. To be magnetic. She's a projector, and she has a really, like, the way that she does things is very pillar. Like, depending on what you're dealing with, you're going to go to this pillar. If you're dealing with this, you go over here, right? That's the way that I describe what a projector is known for. And again, they can also trademark this system and the unique way of solving the problem. And then,
amazing.
Yeah, reflectors, they're a little bit more of a wild card. I've literally never met two reflectors that are the same. Like because they have so much open center, they're all open centers, right? It really depends on how they were raised, their life experiences, what they have absorbed, and how they want to live, because they don't have a consistent energy in terms of centers in their body graph. So they're kind of a wild card. They're all a little bit different. But generally speaking, they come together in a community where they can share their insights, share what they're seeing in the collective, kind of being that canary in the coal mine. I'm going to show you what you're not probably looking at or haven't noticed yet before it actually becomes a really big issue. And so creating some type of community where they can give that information is really, really helpful in terms of your messaging.
Beautiful. That was such a high level overview, but I feel like the only one I can speak to is being a main gen, personally. Even though I know, like, my mom's a generator. I know quite a few generators, actually.
Mm-hmm.
And that I actually did come across a little bit of a projector, and she literally was like, I don't even know what this means. And I was just like, given you're in the coaching and wellness space, you're right in your lane. You're fine.
Yeah.
And so it's just interesting when you think about it, because we all kind of have our different ways of coming to whatever it is that we're doing, and even more so how we bring that message to life.
Yeah, exactly. And this is why just looking at what gurus are saying and saying this is how you do messaging it's going to lead to you feeling frustrated or bitter because it's not, right? It may or may not be the way that you're designed. Everyone has their own way to success, and following your own energy is the fastest way to get there.
Yeah. Actually, funny enough, you brought that up because my not self theme is actually frustration.
Yep.
So yeah, anytime nothing's in alignment, I get frustrated, and I'm always like, that is the one human emotion I would love to change. And then I remember when I pulled up my chart, I was like, this makes a lot of sense.
I remember feeling the same way when I saw it. I was like, oh, frustration. Oh my God, I'm frustrated every day.
Yeah, literally. Actually, so this is an interesting question, gearing off of messaging for a quick second. But so I just recently did a vision board workshop, and I made people pull up their human design charts before we went through it, because a lot of people don't even recognize, or it's not hyper talked about in the coaching space of like, when you look at your human design chart, you can also see how you're best able to manifest. Mm-hmm. So I'm curious, what is like your take on that? Do you use it to manifest in your day-to-day life? And for someone who's like, I don't even know where I would look, there's so many different parts, kind of like a quick overview of what they could look at to figure out how to manifest.
Oh, so I've heard people talk about the arrows, right? That you're either a specific or a non-specific manifester. I've personally never found that very helpful in my manifesting journey. I actually, when I'm looking at my own chart, I look at the undefined centers where the centers are white, because those are usually the places that are hijacking your true aligned energy, right? So I have an undefined head in ajna, which means I'm taking in the thoughts and the ideas and the concepts of everyone around me, especially if I'm scrolling, if I'm just not around people that are uplifting and encouraging. So I'll get hijacked in thinking, well, I'm not doing it right. Who are you to think like this? Who are you to say anything like that? Like my brain will just hijack, right? Same with undefined will center. The will center is willpower, but it's also worthiness. And do you feel worthy of what you are desiring, right? So if with mine being undefined, it can hijack and say, this isn't good enough. Nice try. Keep going. Like, this isn't going to work. Who are you? Da, 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 right? So looking at those undefined centers actually shows me the stories and the patterns that I keep repeating, and that's where my work is, right? I'm a firm believer that being the version of myself that I want to be, right? And then all the things that are holding me back from actually having that life will show itself. I don't need to go digging for these shadow aspects of myself. They'll show themselves. No problem, right? And I can almost always tie it back. And this is where Olivia came in, because I programmed her to look at your undefined centers and go, this is where they're playing small. This is where I need you to call them out on it. And that's why she feels so like, oh my God, yes, this is what I have missed, right? That's what like on steroids, the next evolution AI that I'm creating is going to do. It's going to look at your chart and go, this is why you're playing small. You're in the undefined areas of your chart. The colored, or the definition, the stuff that is consistent for you, is where you should be operating from and making your decisions from, those types of things, right? That's the energy that you want to be in on a consistent basis, and that's what will manifest your life, is when you are in alignment with that. So
wow. Okay, so I officially just feel so mind blown, because I never thought of looking at the undefined centers for manifestation in any terms.
Yeah.
To be very transparent, I was definitely looking at just the arrows. Because I was like, okay, this is a good groundwork, but yeah, I guess I'm glad I asked this question, because for me, I've never thought about, okay, where it's undefined is where you have the most trouble, essentially.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, it's also the places that you are the most wise, but only if you are aware of what's going on in those centers, right? Like the solar plex will take in the emotions of other people and oftentimes identify with them, because you don't have any like a typical way to process the emotion. So your brain is a meaning making machine. You take in, like, maybe your mom when you were growing up was like emotionally unstable. And so you took that emotion in and your brain made an identity with it and going, oh, well, I need to do this. I need to do that in order to stay safe, in order to keep the peace, all of these stories that get built up, right? And you have to kind of unpack that and go, okay, this isn't who I am. This is not my emotion for me to process. I can let it go, right? And it becomes the place that you are incredibly wise with emotions and can sense other people's emotions. But again, you have to be so aware of what's going on and not triggered in it, if that makes sense. Yeah.
I love this so much because I remember the first time I started lightly diving into human design, and I am by no means an expert at all because I feel like it just takes so much to really learn and understand it.
Yeah.
But I remember being so fascinated, and then also when you add in the Gene Keys component of it, it's like your brain can just kind of like explode. But I remember just like I've always operated a very, call it woo style. So I was a Christian kid who grew up still reading books about astrology because I was just fascinated by it. And so when I started learning about human design in specific, though, I remember thinking, wow, okay, so this goes more in depth into kind of what your soul is incarnating with, and kind of also at a high level you can kind of see the path that you're taking, even though it doesn't outright, like a lot of people look at astrology and they go, show me what's coming up for me. And you can't necessarily do that with a human design chart, but what you can do is figure out what you're really naturally good at.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I don't totally understand astrology. Like I kind of do. I sort of understand like the big numbers, but looking at an astrology chart is like a foreign language. When I look at the human design chart though, I was like, oh, well, this makes sense. It was clearly I was meant to do this because I look at it and it makes sense to me. It makes sense of how the energy's moving, how the different parts and pieces work together. It just made sense. It was a language I spoke. But yeah, I think human design shows you so much more present moment of like, this is how I operate versus this is the crap that I'm dealing with. How it's, to me, astrology is like, you know that there's going to be some turmoil, there's going to be some stuff come up. Great. That's helpful information. But if you don't know how to deal with it and you're stuck in your shadow of your human design, it doesn't really matter. You're not going to be able to navigate whatever is throwing at you, if that makes sense.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So shifting gears for a sec, I'm curious because a lot of people feel like they're choosing between speaking from soul or following strategy.
Right.
And obviously we've touched on it, but how do you think truly human design bridges the two?
I think it bridges the two in you trust your voice. I want you to trust the things that are coming out of your mouth, anything that you're writing. You will write what you need to write in a clear and concise way. So many people come to me, they are so like covered up with all of the to-dos, all the things that they're supposed to be doing, that they don't even know what their true voice is anymore. They're just like, this is what I have to do to show up and market my business. But I want the two together. Like I want you showing up as your most authentic self that just happens to be marketing your business. Like there isn't a marketing version of you. There isn't it's all one, right? And uncovering what that is and letting go of all of the shoulds and it's supposed to look like this. And I mean, I've gone through that too. I'm trained as a copywriter. Like there's so much of this is the way that you're supposed to write ingrained in me that it's been a process to uncover that. And last year it revealed like another layer of where I was like, it has to be like this. We have to talk about this. No, we don't have to talk about any of it unless it is actually alive for you, actually something that you want to bring forward and help people with. Yeah.
What a beautiful answer. I'm curious, though. So where do you see people hide in the soulful aspect of themselves rather than the structure?
Those are the people that are super spiritual. That go really deep and do coachy talk and talk about the work all the time. And don't meet people where they're at. They're so deep into their work that they have a hard time pulling back out to the level that their clients are at and meeting them where they are, right? And they just assume that people will jump into the deep end with them. And some may, yes, but you can serve so many more people when you just pull back a little bit, meet them where they're at, and then like throw them in the deep end. That makes sense.
It does. Actually, what really helped me is I was working with Olivia to kind of refine one of my offers. And I was just like, okay, what am I not saying correctly? Because this is what it is. But also, nobody wants to buy just the system.
Yeah.
Let's be honest. No one cares about your framework.
Yep.
They want to know how it helps them. So I was like, help me understand where I'm miscommunicating. And she and I literally were going back and forth for like a couple of hours of just like, okay, let's refine it this way. And until I finally kind of got it to like the perfect bow tie is the way I'll put it. And I was just like, this actually feels like me. And so it's interesting because you don't think of AI, generally speaking, as something that can bring you back to your authenticity.
Yeah.
And yet you've somehow curated a system that actually can.
Yeah. That's the whole point. That's my whole intention. It's how I use AI. I don't want... It's like, it's the assistant that will like bitch slap me if I am trying to force something and be like, that's not what you're actually here to do. Stop it. And it's also my like best think partner. I've got this idea. How do you think that is in alignment with what I'm already doing and where I'm going, and using it as a co-creator and not just, here, write this piece of content. Yeah.
Beautiful. Actually, this brings me a interesting question for you, because there is a coaching element to what you do as well.
Oh yeah.
So where do you see the gaps in where AI will be a complementary? However, I guess the phrasing I'm trying to come up with is like, do you see that coaches will fully be replaced by the AI itself?
That's a really good question. So I have started to really train my AI on my human design. I literally tell it all my struggles, all the things that I've been working through, and it's been coaching me. I also, though, just bought someone else's AI and she's a coach. She's an identity coach. And I mean, her AI was not cheap. So I think coaches need to work with AI and use it to help clients, because the way that she's using it is like, you can access my brain, my coaching, my way of thinking through the AI, instead of having it, having to be in her group program or one-to-one with her. And that's what I think is brilliant about it. If you can program a GPT to be an extension of you, right, then you can help more people. And that's my intent with creating the whole thing, the whole like IP GPT, so many letters, is that people can use her and not have to, you don't have to pay one-to-one. You don't have to come into group programs or whatever. You have it right there at your fingertips whenever you need it. Yeah.
Beautiful. I mean, a lot of the bigger coaches have started to do that. Like Tony Robbins has one. David Guillaume, who is all into Kabbalah, I'm not sure if you're familiar, he has his own AI. Yeah. So it's becoming more and more frequent. However, I do still see, personally speaking, I do like having the ability to access a coach. But I think in terms of, if we're thinking affordability or mass impact, You're absolutely right. I think there is an AI component that needs to be looked at as the times are changing and evolving.
Yeah. And I think AI, I mean, that whole idea in 2 years could be completely played out too. Who knows? That no one wants to buy them anymore. Who knows? And I also agree. I'm also in a mastermind as well and getting direct coaching. So I think there's a time and a place for all of it. And you have to trust your own intuition, your own authority on, do I need to be in a group? Do I need to be in the room with people? There's definitely a value in being in the room with people. And it's just you deciding what is that puzzle piece that I need right now. Nothing is the silver bullet. It's all just puzzle pieces to help you along the way.
Beautiful. So I'm curious, you talk a lot about teasing out the energies that block growth. So how do you see these blocks show up in someone's words or visibility?
I see it as either, it's one of two camps. One, they're either sharing way too much. It's like in the fluffy, vague camp, right? Or it's at the other end of the spectrum where they've followed a template and it's bland, generic, and boring, right? Like it sounds like literally every other coach. They're either in one of those two camps. And when I look at someone's copy, I can tell that, okay, well, sounds really nice, but it actually doesn't tell me anything about what you do. Over here in the like template camp, like again, it's like, well, yeah, that's nice, but why you? Like, who cares? Anyone can do that for me. Why you? Right? And so it's figuring out those pieces that they have missed or like not really playing up, I guess you could say, where they're falling into either of those camps.
Beautiful. So shifting gears back to you for a second, you're actually a 4/6 sacral manifesting generator.
Yep.
With a cross of provocation.
Yep.
Yep. So how has knowing your design changed how you actually speak, sell, or lead?
Ooh. I feel like I have ironically slowly stepped into embracing my design, like one piece at a time. First it was the Manny Jen part of me, then it was the sixth line version part of me, then recently it's been more of that gate 39, the sun gate, which I honestly avoided for a really long time. I was like, nope, because it's provoking. People have to be ready. People don't always like what I have to say. When if I'll do an audit, they need to be ready for what I'm about to say. And it's probably not going to be the thing that you think it is or that you want to necessarily hear. And that, for a long time, my open solar plexus didn't like. It wanted to give people the answer they wanted. It wanted to make them happy. And understanding that it is my role and it's okay. I do it lovingly. I always share as empathetically as possible, but people do have to be ready. And if they're not, that's okay too.
Beautiful. Mm-hmm. So I guess you just all around have to be a little more provocative given that as well, right?
Yeah.
And so do you find that carries out in your like day-to-day conversations as well, rather than just how you message or how you handle business?
That's a really good question. I would say in a lot of ways, I am very sixth line. I'm in the second phase of the sixth line. So six lines have three phases. The first, from 0 to 30, is very trial and error, getting your hands in the clay, making lots of mistakes, which I 100% did. And then the second phase is where you kind of pull back and you go onto the mountain. You just don't want to converse with people, which is so true. Some days
you're like, humans no.
I'm gonna say, like, no joke, like my husband's a 6'2", so he has even more like hermit in him, both in our like middle phase, and we're like, can we just go to a mountaintop and just leave us the F alone for a little while? don't want to help people. That part of me, it really doesn't want to provoke unless I feel like it's necessary. Like, I would say I am the type of person that won't share much of me or my private life or anything like that unless I know that someone is not okay with it, but like it's not going to divulge into a battle or something that I need to defend. I am not willing to I'm not going to defend how I think. It's just how I think. If you don't like it, that's fine, right? And if I feel like it's going to divulge into an argument about something, I'm out. I'm not even going there, if that makes sense. Like, you're not worth my time. You're not worth my 6 line time.
I love this. It's interesting. I'm trying to think of now how I, as a 3-5, should be operating, but a lot of that is just trial and error.
Yeah. But you're also a leader. You're also a thought leader and somebody that's here to like, hey, guys, I've effed up so much. Here is what we need to be doing. Here's where we need to be going. Like the lessons, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, but let's just be honest. When you're in the season of actually effing up, not so fun.
Not so fun. No, not so fun.
But I think there's a beauty in it now that I have an understanding of my human design a bit, because when I am in those seasons where I'm like, this is not planning out the way I would like it to. Yeah. It reminds me like, okay, there's something I can teach from this. Maybe not in this moment.
Yeah.
But let me figure it out, and then there's something I can teach from this.
For sure. Yeah. 3 lines are I feel like 3 lines are very magnetic because you have lived so much life and people just relate to you really well, and you just sharing you and living life. They're like, oh my God, that's me too. And I don't know. 3s are very magnetic, I think.
Very cool. Well, hopefully I will let you know if that's true or not about magnetism. But I do feel like, generally speaking, across the board, if you are your authentic self, you have that magnetism. I actually was talking to someone yesterday, and it made me really realize we're kind of in this like trust recession right now. And it's like the more authentic we can be, that's how you build that trust. Mm-hmm. Because no one wants to just be unaware of who they're doing business with or who they're aligning themselves with at this point.
I think, yes. And so I don't know how much you know about the 2027 for human design. Do you know much about that? Mm-mm. Okay. So in 2027 is when we shift from the cross of planning, which is very strategic systems. Like that's the cross that we were in, the planet was in for the last like 400 years. We're switching to the cross of the sleeping phoenix, which the sleeping phoenix, what does it do? It burns shit to the ground and rises from the ashes. So, you look at our world, you're like, yep, that's exactly what's happening. Things are falling apart. There's like a lot of shifts happening, all leading up to this 2027, and then probably for a few years afterwards as well. So when people start talking about the trust recession, it's not so much that people don't trust. Yes, I think there is some of that where we saw a lot of people come online after 2020 and try to come into the coaching world, sold all of these different things, and they're sold the strategy, the thing that was supposed to make them rich and have the successful coaching business. And if that didn't happen, they've spent a lot of money. I mean, I've spent a shit ton of money. We all do when you're trying to build a business. That's part of the game. But they don't realize that they were just sold someone else's version of success, right? They haven't built their own. And now with us getting closer to 2027, you can't fake it anymore. You can't fake and hustle your way there, especially if you're a spiritual entrepreneur. Anywhere, wanting to do purpose work, that shit ain't gonna fly anymore whatsoever. Like, you have to do it your way. You have to understand what your authentic self is and be willing to show up and do the work in it. And that's, I think, what we're seeing more than anything, is that people know that you're not being authentic. You're not being yourself. You are trying too hard, and that's what's repelling and making it feel like no one's buying and there's a trust recession. No, you're just not being your authentic self.
We could just drop the mic right there.
My take on it. That's my spicy take.
Love it. So I'm curious, how can someone start using their authority when it comes to messaging, deciding what to say, or when to say it, or when to wait?
There is some trial and error. I will say that. You have to start trusting yourself, right? So trusting that satisfaction or frustration, right? Your themes. If you're frustrated, well, why are you frustrated? Get really, really honest with yourself and ask more specific questions. Is it the offer? Is it the way that it's delivered? Is it the things that you're talking about? Asking those harder questions. And then it's saying, well, what do I actually truly want to help people with? And honestly, that can take trial and error. I spent all of last year thinking I wanted to do one thing, and turns out I really didn't. Got into it and I was like, yeah, no, this isn't it. Back out. Oh, so it can be sometimes you have to do the thing to learn that you didn't want to do the thing, right? That's not a failure. It's not a loss. It's you had to get your hands in the clay and figure it out, right? I think we get so wrapped up in thinking that it is a linear process to success. It's not. It is so far from it. It is a wild donkey ride is what I call it, because it is literally going to take all of your shit and turn it upside down and make you realize, deal with it so that you can actually be your most authentic self. We can use human design to point us in the right direction, but ultimately you have to trust yourself and have a relationship with yourself, right? Meditation, really connecting to who you are, your higher purpose, those types of things, and trusting the process, letting go of the outcome. Don't be the person like me that is always looking for results. Is it working? Is it working? We all do
Literally.
it.
We all do it. Yes. I mean, I think that's partly human nature, but I love that you brought it back to trusting yourself and connecting with your higher soul.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's ultimately I will never say that you have to have human design to be your authentic self. I think it's helpful if it resonates with you, right? And I think you could meditate and get into your authentic self all on your own without knowing your human design, and lots of people do. I've just found it really helpful tool to understanding myself and how I'm showing up and what the world is giving me and how I can respond in a more aligned way.
Beautiful. I mean, we kind of touched on this when I spoke about the trust recession, but I was curious because you've said that we're entering a new age where people are paid for their gifts when they communicate authentically. Mm-hmm. So what really needs to shift, internally for that to happen?
We have to stop giving away our power to strategies and other people telling us what to do. We can't do that anymore. You can buy a program that's maybe teaching you Facebook ads, for example, right? That's a skill, right? Buy the program, learn the skill, but put your own stamp on it. I have a one-to-one client right now that she entered a program that basically they run ads to book sales calls, and then you get one-to-one clients from those sales calls. And the whole process is so old school would be a good word. It's very old school, and they have a very specific process of what you're supposed to say and when to say it, and it's all very scripted, and she feels so constricted in it, so not her. And so we're taking what she's learned in that and applying her human design, the things that she loves to talk about, the things that feel exciting for her as a mani-gen, and basically adjusting that whole system so that it actually feels like her and feels exciting to do, and it doesn't feel like she's faking it or pretending or bro marketing and all of that, right? That's what we need to do. We have to learn the skills. Absolutely. There is some skill in writing and in copywriting and marketing, but it's not it's not something that you can't learn or that you can't do in your own way. Like I see so many really, really successful people that aren't doing it in any way that someone says was the right way, but yet they're wildly successful. So who's to say any of it works? You decide what works.
Another mic drop. I'm so grateful. So before we wrap, I'm curious because we've touched a lot about identity. How do you know when an identity you've been communicating from has actually expired?
Ooh, you'll know. You'll totally know because shit won't work. You'll be like, oh, this feels, and I went through this last year. I was operating, I would say from who I was prior to. There was some hustle in her. There was some like force. And last year showed me that like that needed to die. That needed to go away. Things stopped working the way I wanted them to. I felt really constricted when I was showing up. I didn't I know who I am. Why is this so hard? And it was because it was an older version of myself. There was a new, there was deeper stuff that I wanted to talk about. There was bigger conversations that I wanted to be having. And I wasn't allowing myself to do that. I was like, no, but this is what I had planned. This is the way I wanted to do it. And yeah, my soul was like, yeah, no. This is going to be really bumpy until you figure that out.
Very true. All right. So second to last question before we hit our fire round. What is one small change someone could make in their messaging this week that would create more ease or resonance for their audience?
Ooh. Just do one post where you talk about whatever the heck you want to. Not try and strategize it, not try and go, okay, this is the piece that's going to lead to this, or just talk about something freely. Just let it all out and don't go back and see if it works. Just let it be out there in the world and talking to that one person that you know that you can help.
Beautiful. So I'm sure our listeners are going to want to keep up with you and connect with you. What is the best place for them to really connect with you? Where do you prefer them find you? And also, how can people stay connected with what you're offering in the world right now?
Yeah. Instagram, I'm on there at I am Rachael Weaver, and Rachel is with an extra A. I also have a Facebook group, and then weaverco.us is the website, and all the links are on there as well.
Beautiful. Everything will be linked down below. Now, I always wrap with a quick fire round.
Okay.
And it's just the first thing that comes to you, no overthinking. Are you ready for me?
I guess so.
A word for your current season.
Oh. Batshit scared. I feel like something big is trying to come through, and I'm like, okay, all right, I'm ready.
You're like, I'm ready, but am I ready?
But am I? I guess I can't. Okay, let's do this. All right, I got this.
A book that's changed your life.
Ooh, so many books. I changed mine. David Bayer, his book was amazing. And oh shoot, I can't remember the name of it. Dang it. It's their self-help books, but David Bayer's, that's number one for sure.
All right. A song that actually makes you happy.
Oh, what is this? I'm terrible at remembering the songs. I'm going to look it up because I listen to it like at least 3 or 4 times a day. Morning Queen Energy. I love that song.
All right. I'm going to need to check that out.
It's on the playlist that I listen to like all the time.
Love it. A practice that keeps you grounded.
Morning meditation.
Beautiful. One belief about messaging you've had to unlearn.
So many. it's okay to be your authentic self.
Ooh, love that.
Mm-hmm.
What are you currently saying yes to more of?
Resting and being as present as possible, like putting my phone down and being present, which my mind has a really hard time with. I want to listen to music, or I want to have something in my ear. But yeah, I want to be more present without the background noise.
Beautiful. And then, what is the best advice you've received in a single sentence?
Ooh, best advice.
No pressure.
No pressure. Choice. The best advice in a single sentence. I would say be yourself, but I feel like that's such a heavy loaded phrase that most people don't even know who their self is. So it sends you on this long journey to figure out who you are and how you be your actual authentic self.
I think that's what we're all looking for, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And one thing you're consciously releasing in this season.
Constantly looking at the result and instead just being present to what I'm building.
Beautiful. And I always end off my podcast with this simple question. What is one thing you want women to stop apologizing for?
I want you to stop apologizing for taking up space and being big and loud, and or not big and loud, just being who you are. Just we oftentimes think that who we are isn't acceptable. That's we're either too big or too small or whatever, too something. And stop apologizing. Just be yourself. Show up as you.
Beautiful. Well, I want to just thank you again for this conversation and the way you bridge soul and strategy so thoughtfully. Now, if you're listening and something in today's episode resonated, let it land. You don't need to rush to do anything with it. Awareness alone can shift how you speak, how you share, and how you show up. And if human design actually feels like a new language for you, as it did for me, and for understanding your message, not as something to fix, but something to trust, I hope this conversation opened that door for you. If you'd like to connect with us, you can find Rachael and explore her work through the links in the show notes, and you can connect with me there as well. Tag us on Instagram, let us know your thoughts for the episode, and thank you for being here and for spending time with us. Until next time, that's all for now.